Hi, so my name is Sarah Tong, and I'm a senior at Waltman High School. I'm a columnist for the Black and White newspaper, and I'm currently writing an article about mental health during COVID, and I would really love to spread more awareness for mental health among teenagers.
Excellent.
Okay, so for the first question, can you just sort of introduce yourself, what you do, and what Clay Smiles is all about?
Awesome. Yes. So I own Claysmile Entertainment, and we are an entertainment company. And so we're involved in motivational speaking as well as dance fitness programs. Um,
Mhm.
and the mission really and the objective is really to deliver, motivational presentations and dance fitness programs that will, entertain and educate and inspire people to really become the best versions of themselves and
Mhm.
to enjoy the process every step of the way.
That's great. So what inspired you to start doing that?
Well, my brother Marlon is a motivational speaker, and so he
Oh.
introduced me to the whole motivational speaking industry. And
Mhm.
so, like by watching him, I noticed how emotionally fulfilling it is to share encouragement,
Right.
And so I got involved, and then I just started to love it. The more I did it, the more I loved it, and it just started to snowball, really,
Mhm.
And then I was able to kind of, build a company around it and everything. And it was like a side business for a while. Accounting is my background, actually. And so it was a side business. I graduated from college and worked for 6 years as an auditor for the federal government. But
Oh,
all throughout, like starting when I was like second year in college, all throughout, I had motivational speaking as a side business. But then finally in 2010, I decided to resign from my government job to focus on my business full time.
that's great. So what do you like most about it?
What I like the most about speaking, I guess I would say the feeling that I get from sharing encouragement with others. It's like it's so exhilarating, really,
Mhm.
to just to know that your words has had a
Yeah.
positive impact on someone else's life. It's very emotionally fulfilling, and it really has really helped me personally to overcome certain issues in my own life as I like
Right.
seek to share encouragement with others.
Okay. So during this tough time, it's really easy for students and everyone in general to feel overwhelmed, lonely, depressed, or unmotivated. So, what is your advice to those that are struggling right now?
Mm. I think the key is to really focus on mastering your focus, because I realize that where focus goes, energy flows, and a lot of my presentations is centered around helping people to master their focus, to really see that there's a piece of fortune inside of every misfortune, and to really think about their perspective, right? Because it's really not the circumstances that really impact us. It's really our perspective of those circumstances. And so, yes, I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation that we're going through, the whole COVID-19 and
Yeah.
everything, the pandemic and the shutdown and the social distancing and virtual school and all that, right? But I feel as though we have to focus on what we can control instead of focusing on things that we cannot control. I
Yeah.
think that as we focus on what we can control, we can start to see opportunities and advantages, and we can start to see the fortune inside of the misfortune. I mean, like
Right.
being having to social distance is also an opportunity for us to really focus on our own personal growth. It's an opportunity for us to really focus and have more quiet times and everything, and everything. I mean, I
Yeah.
just feel as though we have to really look at focusing on what is the fortune that's inside of the misfortune, and how can we help others to also overcome as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any examples of some things that you have been doing to keep you energized and stuff like during this time?
Mm. I think one of the biggest things is having a really good morning routine.
Yeah.
I feel like the way that we start the day, it really sets the tone for the whole day, right? And
Mhm.
so I encourage everyone to wake up early in the morning, like maybe like 4 or 5 a.m., and really devote the first hour, 2 hour, 3 hours to self-care, because really early in the morning, like when it's still dark outside, before the sun has come up, there's no distractions. And, it's a time in which we could just focus on ourselves. We can focus on pouring into ourselves through exercise, through prayer, reflection, journaling,
Mhm.
whatever, just to really energize ourselves
That's
so
great.
that we'll be ready to, help others, and we'll be
Yeah.
ready to respond to the demands that will come our way during the day.
Because I know for a fact that most high school students, especially around my age, we tend to go to bed really, really late, like so it's staying on social media. And it's really, really hard to, stop yourself from just staying up because normally we don't have to go to school right now, you just open your computer. So like do you have any advice or tips on like what to do with that? Because I know social media can be very, very time consuming and stressful.
Mhm. Yes, yeah. So it really comes down to our habits. And I know that, so if you have built up a habit of staying up late, then it's going to take some time to kind of break out of that
Yeah.
habit. But it does work. They say that, like, it takes maybe like 21 days for a habit to really be firm in your life. And so my recommendation would be try it out for at least a month, like really push yourself for at least a month to go to bed early, to wake up early, to have that really, undistracted time of self-care. Try it out for a month. And I believe that if you do it at least for a month, you're going to really develop a strong habit, and it will be something that you will
Mhm.
be able to continue on, because actually, it's more than just avoiding the distractions. It's also even in our physical nature, our physical bodies. There's like, scientific research that has proven that, like, if you exercise in the morning, it really works wonders, and it's just, there's a
Mhm.
lot to it, that where it's so true how by starting the day with some self-care, it really helps us throughout the whole day.
Great. That's great advice. So I have a lot of friends, and I just know a lot of people right now that are going through some really hard times with mental illnesses, and some have even gone into mental institutions during this time, and it's really, really sad. So, do you know any like advice that would really help them to not feel alone, and or if any advice for family members or friends to keep a lookout for them while still being social distanced?
Yes, yes. I think communication is key. I think that it's important that we all grow more transparent about the issues that we go through in life. I feel like in our culture, there's this, especially on social media, right? There's this pressure to always project an image that is better than our reality. And I understand for marketing purposes, and everything, but I really believe that it's important that we all, become a little bit more transparent about the issues that we face, because our transparency can show others that they're not alone and that there's hope. And, it's such an amazing feeling when you can see that others are going through similar issues.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage everyone to really be more transparent. And in regarding, like, how we can kind of, deal with the issues that are in our life, you know, two things that I'd like to share. Number one is this, is that, mindset is so important. And I feel like if we can train our minds to always keep in mind that nothing happens to us, everything happens for us,
Right.
I feel like that will be very useful in helping us to see the opportunities instead of seeing the problems, because I realize that our lives are really shaped by the stories that we tell ourselves. And so if we can kind of constantly remind ourselves that things are happening for us, that somehow, some way, there's something good that's going to come out of these situations, then it just helps us to be in a position to be able to see the good.
Mhm.
And the number two would be to stay in an attitude of gratitude. I feel like gratitude is such a powerful emotion, because really whatever we appreciate expands, like when we can really be grateful for the things, for the good things that are in our life, then it's like we start to be aware of more good things,
Yeah,
and it just starts to snowball, So I'd say those two things. Number one, nothing happens to us, everything happens for us. And number two, stay in an attitude of gratitude.
that's really good advice. Thank you. So do you know any like mindfulness activities or some like physical things that people can do, like get out of their house and, relax, something like that?
Mm, there's so much. I feel like every person has to kind of try out different types of activities to find what really resonates with them.
Mhm.
So like for me, I love, the whole like weightlifting, right? So I do push-ups and crunches every morning, as well as work out with some weights, that I have, some dumbbells. I really miss going to the gym. I
Yeah,
used to
same.
big on going to the gym, and so now I just have to kind of make do with what I have here at home. But yeah, for me it would be, and also cardio, right? So um, being able to go out for like a little jog, it just really helps me, really really helps
Mhm.
me. So but for other people it might be like yoga. For other people it might be some other type of physical activity. But I would say that it's so important to sweat in the morning,
Yeah.
to have some type of like physical activity that causes you to sweat. I think
Mhm.
it's so very important. Or to stretch. I mean, just some type of like physical activity in the morning that really jumpstart your day. But yeah, I would say that definitely there's no one size that fits all, but that we all have to kind of try different things to find what is it that we really enjoy. And another thing that really works for me is I listen to music, as well as I listen to podcasts in the
Mhm.
morning as I'm exercising, because in addition to getting in that physical activity, I like to feed my mind with a mixture of music and then also podcast episodes.
Great. Okay, so I'm not sure if this applies to you, but have you had an experience with mental health? And can you sort of like go more in depth in it? And also like what helped you through those times?
Mm. So, well, one of the reasons why I'm so very passionate about delivering motivational presentations is because I have myself struggled with like insecurities and I wouldn't say depression. I feel like real depression is like a medical situation, right? So I wouldn't say depression, but I would say sadness. I would say insecurities. And so, for example, growing up, I faced a lot of social rejection because I couldn't really fit in well. And so
Mhm.
like, I've been through like several different like heartbreaks, where I'd like a girl and she didn't like me back and stuff like that. And I would take it personally, and I would feel very insecure about myself, about my personality, of just feeling like I'm not good enough and all that. But some of the things that really helped me, and which have become things that I share with others, is number one, I have to really monitor my emotions. And whenever I realize that I'm thinking or feeling something negative, I have to realize that is an action signal for me to change the narrative. Because really, our lives are shaped by the stories that we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
Really, you know what I'm saying? Like our emotions, they really come from the narrative that is playing in our mind, the script that is running in our mind. And so some things that really helped me is, number one, is to stopping and saying, you know what, I need to change the narrative. That no, I'm not rejected. I'm just redirected. And it's
Mhm.
amazing how making that shift in our perspective just makes a huge difference in our life. To say that no, that person didn't reject me. It's actually just, I'm being redirected into something that's better.
Right.
And feeling like I'm not good enough, I have to like change the perspective and think, you know what? No, it's not that I'm not good enough. This is actually a blessing in disguise, that like there's an advantage of being the underdog, right? There's an advantage of having these disadvantages is actually an advantage, because it can push me to overcompensate. And
Mhm.
that's one of the big things in my life that I realize is that over the years, I've learned how to draw inspiration from my disadvantages. I realize that there's certain things in my life that tend to block me from succeeding in certain areas. And so I've realized that I need to focus on overcompensating. And so although I do want to work on strengthening and overcoming certain weaknesses in my life, I realize too, though, that one of the greatest things I can do is to focus in on my strengths. Because if I focus on my strengths, then my strengths can overcompensate for my weaknesses.
That's true.
So yeah, I'd say that, dealing with insecurities and dealing with feelings like I'm not good enough, it just kind of all goes back to, you know, thinking about how can I redirect, how can I reshape the narrative and the stories that I'm telling myself. And
Mhm.
one of the biggest things too is how can I use my struggles as a tool to reach out and help others.
Yeah.
That's been huge for me, realizing that whatever I'm going through is actually an opportunity for me to reach out and show others that they're not alone. I have
Mhm.
this saying that our our adversity is our advantage to comfort and inspire others who are going through similar situations. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, like one of the biggest ways that I've been able to overcome certain issues in my life is by thinking about them as a tool that I can use to reach out and inspire others. It's amazing how, as I try to encourage others, more encouragement comes back into my life. And I realize that there's a bigger picture to the
Mhm.
struggles that we go through. A
That's
quick
true.
story is that recently, just this past week, a friend of mine reached out to me and was very concerned about how no, it's probably not showing right now, but like every once in a while, like the right side of my face, of my cheek, kind
Yeah.
of gets large. And a friend reached out to me and was very concerned about how like it looks swollen, and she was thinking that this might be a sign of cancer. And
Yeah.
she encouraged me to go get it checked out, right? So I went online, to my insurance company, and I sent my doctor a virtual message, a message online about, and I showed a picture, and everything. And while I was waiting to hear back from the doctor, I was starting to feel a little nervous, right?
Of
Because I was thinking,
course. Yeah.
wow, I mean, like what if I have cancer? How much is this going to cost to treat? And like, well, what's this? How is this going to impact, the quality of my life if it turns out that I have cancer and all that? And as I was, going through all those emotions, one of the things that I was thinking about was that, whatever happens, by God's grace, I'm going to find a way to use it to help others, and I'm going to view this as being like, just like I say in my motivational presentations, life is not happening to us. Life is happening for us. And so I started to just to think about how, look, whatever happens, it's going to work together for good, and so I don't have nothing to worry about. I'm just going to continue to just do the best I can to take care of myself, and whatever happens with my health and everything, I'm just going to be able to find some way to use it for
Mhm.
encouraging others, to realize that they're not alone,
Yeah.
so
That gives you a
I,
lot of peace. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like it's just a mindset. So I think to summarize all of this is like it really comes down to mindset,
Right.
really being able to grow a very strong mindset. And one of the keys to growing our mindset is helping others to grow theirs.
Hmm. That's great. Thank you. And okay, a couple more questions. So, do you have any advice for teachers to help students to stay motivated over this like virtual school thing?
Mm. I think that for teachers, I think one of the things that's huge is just their vibe. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, their vibe, because it's amazing how energy is contagious. And so I think that teachers just encourage me. I know teachers, they have a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of teachers have to deal with like kids being at home and then also teaching, virtually and everything, right? but I feel like I want to encourage teachers to realize that just their vibe, their energy, their attitude can go a long way in helping their students. Because I feel like, everyone, especially teenagers, I feel like teenagers can really pick up on moods and attitudes and
Mhm.
emotions. And so I want to encourage kids, teachers to really be mindful of really trying to project really positive, optimistic attitudes, because they really do make a difference.
Yeah, that's true because when you came to my class, like I was instantly woken up and I was smiling because I mean, I could tell that you were really excited about it and it made me really happy. So,
Well, I appreciate that. I
yeah,
appreciate
of
that.
course.
Wow, wow, that really adds to my motivation to keep doing these
Mhm.
presentations. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so last question. Could you share some motivational quotes you think that would resonate with students that are struggling right now?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, okay, so one
Or
would
like
be a
your
big one.
favorite quotes.
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah, I have a lot. I have a lot of a lot of quotes. I think one of them is love the life you have as you build the life you want. And so, we all, have certain things in our life that we wish were different, um,
Mhm.
and, especially with this whole shutdown, the whole pandemic. But I feel like, let's focus on truly, being grateful and loving the life we have as we work towards, either adapting or changing, the things that we want to adapt to or change to. So yeah, love the life you have as you build the life you want. I think another one would be there's always a bigger picture. There's
Mhm.
always a bigger picture. Everything that goes on in our life, it's all part of a bigger picture. And so, although right now, there's certain things that seem to be, bad, but really, let's keep the faith that somehow, some way, later on in the future, we're gonna look back and realize that, even these bad things turned out for good, you know?
Mhm.
So let's maintain, that type of optimism. Another one would be where focus goes, energy flows, right? Let's really focus, let's really be mindful on what we focus on. And I'd say one more to close us off. I'd say one more would be life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. Life is about learning how to dance in the rain. And so I feel like, every day, let's learn how to dance in the rain. Let's learn, healthy ways to cope with these issues that we go through. And let's also encourage others and help others to dance in the rain. And one day, we'll look back and we'll realize that, wow, you know what? These things that we thought were negative were really blessings in disguise. So let's dance in the rain.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for those.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for letting me interview you. That was really really helpful, and I will definitely keep you updated on my article. So, thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.